welcome back to another video. It's a tier list video today. You can see loads of trains in the down underneath with Train Sim World on it. I am doing a tier list where I rank every British route in Train Sim World, bar two, which I believe are Isle of Wight and Bakerloo line, just because I don't know those routes well, and they're not really mainline fully. I mean, Isle of Wight technically is, but yeah, I'm starting off Spirit of Steam because I don't know the route well, and I just wanted to get it out of the way because the rest of them, apart from two, I think, which are Mildmay and West Coast Mainline North, I don't know, or sorry, I haven't driven on, but I know the route, so I'm going to be able to rate them nonetheless. Starting off with Spirit of Steam, I'll be quick with this one. I'm not a fan of the steam trains in the game. I've drove the Flying Scotsman a few times, and it's quite hard to drive, complicated and difficult. And also, I've seen a video by DC4260 Productions, and he said it's one of the worst routes in the game. So I'm going to go from what he said and put it E tier, just a bit higher than F, because people like steam trains in the game, and it's kind of nice to have them. It's just I don't like them. Up next is West Cornwall Local, which you get the class 150 and class 37 with, and as well as that the 101 and 142 are layered onto that. I'm not a huge fan of this route either, because it's old, like from the 1980s, and it's quite boring. The routes you get I think a 15-minute run from St Erth to St Ives, and then a 50-minute run from Penzance to St Austell. So you get like a mix of long but very short, which I don't think is balanced enough. Like, you kind of need it to be like a long, maybe hour long, and then like a half an hour and then a couple of 50 minutes, but not like that. And plus the 150 in the game is pretty poor, like the way the regional railways. The livery's fine and everything, but the sounds are quite poor. And yeah, I'm not a fan of it. So for that reason, I'm going to put it in F tier. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion or not, but I think also DC4260 Productions said that it is the other worst route that he ranked, I think. Next up is Blackpool Branches. This came with the class 142 in it, and also quite a few liveries for the 47, and you got the 08 as well. I don't hate this route either. The 142 is quite a good train in the game. I think if it was like a northern 142, that would be a bit better. But obviously it is like the route isn't northern, I think. Well, it is northern run nowadays, but not these times. And I quite like the 142 because they've done quite well with it. The suspension's really good, and I love like the roller, the display destination board, the roller. That's quite cool. And the way that the pacer bounces is quite nice. And you get to quite a few stations. You get Preston, which then also nowadays can go to Carlisle. You get like Blackpool North, Blackpool South, and you get quite a few good routes. You get like half an hour long runs in the 142 from Blackpool North to Preston, and then you get routes from, I think, Blackpool South to Ormskirk. And I got that wrong. It's either Blackpool North or South to Ormskirk. And then you also get loads of freight routes from other trains that you can buy, such as the 31, 20, 45, and I think the 40 as well. But I don't hate this route, so I'm going to put it in C tier because it's quite nice. And you get three liveries with the 142. You get the orange one, as you can see here. You get a brown and cream one, and you get a blue one. Next up is what I believe is Northern Transpennine, with the 101 pictured here. With this route, I think you get the 101, the 47, and the 45, I think. And you can go, I think, Manchester to Leeds via Huddersfield. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of this route again because the 101 is really hard to drive. It's quite confusing. You get loads of strange gears. The 47 is nice, that's okay, and the 45 too, and you get loads of main stations. But again, I don't like the old routes. So the 101 and the Northern Transpennine is going to go in F tier. Next up is West Coast Mainline North, which is Carlisle to Preston. I think that's right. Yeah, and then you get the Morecambe branch. I quite like this route. Like you get the class 87 with it, which is a new electric locomotive, and they're going to add the 86-2 in it, which would be really cool. So you get a few liveries. You get like the Intercity and then the BR Blue one, as you can see here, and there's a few nameplates for it. Yeah, I don't like. There's nothing wrong with this route in my opinion. I really like it. It's just because it's retro. I'm not a huge fan of it. And the routes I think are relatively long, but you get the Morecambe branch, which has I think the 142 and 101 in it, and Carlisle's a new station, which is quite cool. So I'm going to put this route in C tier, and I'm going to put it just above Blackpool branches. Next up is the first kind of modern day route, the Midland Main Line. With this route, you get the Class 43 HST, and at the time it was the first Class 158, which I really like. This route, it is great. You get runs from Leicester to Derby, I think, and then you get like into Nottingham, and it's really cool. I think one thing I wouldn't mind is, I think Derby Lichchurch Depot's around the corner or something. If they added like runs in where you, like when the Greatest Gathering happens, they should add some of those trains in, so you could like recreate all of them arriving, and that would be quite cool. But I really like this route. They could add a new couple of trains in the future, such as maybe the 222 Meridian, but I haven't got any problems with this route, so I'm going to put it in B tier. Next up is the West Somerset Railway. This one you get the BR Green Class 47 with, and then you can also buy the Class 33 Crompton and the 52 Western in the maroon livery and the BR Green for the 33. Plus you got loads of other trains you can buy to layer onto it for diesel galas, as well as theme galas for the Flying Scotsman and the 150 for -2 for regional railways. I'm not a huge fan of this route though, because the runs on it are really long, and it's like, it may be your style of thing, like 30 miles an hour along a heritage railway, but it isn't for me because it's kind of boring. And for that reason, I'm going to put West Somerset Railway in F tier. I'm not happy. I'm not a huge fan of it. Maybe you might like it. I mean, it's quite cool to have some more old diesels in the game, but no. Next up is the London Suffragette line, Goblin line, from Barking Riverside to, I can't remember what the station's called, which has the Class 710 in it, the London Overground one. This is quite a nice route as well. I think I like this route because you get to it's like 40-minute runs. You pop along to each station, and it's quite frequent seeing that you get two variants of the 710. I think the -2 and the -3. And it also layers onto West Coast Main Line south, where you can go from Waterford Junction to Euston. The 710 is very nice, and you get a few runs, I think, with the 37 and the 66. So I'm going to put the London Suffragette line in B tier. Next up is the other London Overground route, the Mildmay line, which is comes with the Class 378 Capital Star, which is another new train in the game. And I don't know what the station's called, but you go from Willesden Junction to somewhere else. I'm going to look it up, so I have the research with me, and then you don't hate me. London Overground Mildmay line, made by Incredible Trains, and you go from, where is it? Willesden Junction on the Windrush line, between Stratford and Willesden Junction. That's the one. You get a lot of layered trains into it, like you get the West Coast Main Line going underneath you at Willesden Junction, and I'm pretty sure that like the 710s and that go by as well with the underground stock too. I haven't bought this route yet. I probably will at some point. I don't actually quite like this route. It looks quite fun. The only thing I complain about is the 378 sounds really similar to what they've got for the 377 and 387. Although I'm pretty sure in real life it's the same, because I've seen it in real life at Clapham. So I'm going to put this train route in C tier just because it's short, but it's fun. Next up is the first Scottish route I'm ranking, which is the ScotRail Express. I think it was the first route added in it. No, it wasn't. It was the second route added in for ScotRail after the Cathcart Circle, but it is, my opinion, better. So you can do Edinburgh to Glasgow in the 385, Glasgow to Croy for the Glasgow to Alloa routes, and then Edinburgh to Dunblane for the Edinburgh to Polmont for the Edinburgh to Dunblane routes. I really wish they would extend it all the way up to like Dunblane and Alloa, so then like Stirling is added in. And you got all the other, because then they could do so much more with it, like runs up to Perth and that, because then they can do Perth on the 5 Circle. But I like having the 385 in the game. I've had a few problems with it in the past, like for example the horn would sometimes get stuck on, but they have done a fantastic job with this route. The 385 is amazing. Now they've got the 170 and the 158 in it, and Glasgow, Queen Street and Edinburgh are modelled really well. The one complaint I have with this route is that like at Edinburgh you can like interact with the lifts, you can go through the barriers, but at Glasgow you can't go through the barriers, and it's just kind of bland. And the other complaint I have is I don't know if I have it at Glasgow, but at Edinburgh certainly, those giant departure boards that go like above the platforms in the main concourse at Edinburgh. At Edinburgh in real life, they don't have like they have it as like the order of the most like the next departures. So like the first one will be at like the left, and then the last kind of one will be at the right. But in the game they've added it so it's by the platforms that are there. Like so, like I think it's 12, 13, 14, 15 and that. I think they need to change that because that's not correct, and it does kind of bug me. But apart from that, I can't fault this route, so I'm going to put it in A tier. Next up is the Tees Valley line, where you get the 37-5. You get you can then also buy the 31 and the 20s. Again, it's another old route that I don't particularly like too much. It's 27 miles, and you go to like Darlington to Saltburn. And you get the 101 as well, and I think you can maybe get the one. No, I don't think you can get the 142 on that actually. But I don't hate this route. I don't love it. The 37 is quite nice. By having a different livery in it too, and you can do some different kind of freight runs, like with cement tankers. I think with the 31, and you get like the those red wagons. But I'm gonna put this route in D tier just because it's not my favorite route. I need to try and get this right. Right. Okay. Next up, this is the East Coast Way. I was trying to get mixed up with this the London commuter, but no. Next up is the East Coast Way, which goes from Brighton to Eastbourne and Seaford, and you get the Class 377-4 on this and the Class 66, and you can also then buy the Class 313 for Southern. And I quite like this route as well. I think it is the second highest route I'm leveled on in the game. I think I'm level 12 on it. And I'm also level 21 on the 377-4, so I've played it quite a lot. And I think I'm level 12 on the 313. As you can see, I can play it quite a lot. It's quite fun just to like hop along, and you get like you're always kind of kept active because you're like there's so many stations to stop at, and the 313 is quite a nice train to have in the game since it's gone. If they added the special BR blue livery in at some point, that'd be cool because I'm pretty sure when you get 313-201, like you spawn it in, it does come up as just a regular Southern one, so they should change that. But I'm gonna put this route in A tier. No, am I? Yeah, I'm gonna put it in A tier because I quite like it. Next up is the West Coast Main Line South, from London Euston to Milton Keynes Central, and then you can get like this comes with the 350. I don't think it's licensed though for London North Western, but you get that. You get the 66, the London Underground stock, and then you can also buy the 710 for the Suffragette line, as I said earlier, and then you could do runs from Euston to Watford Junction. I really like this route as well, and you can also buy the 390 to run. I really hope they add a new freight loco in the future because there's only the 66, and then on the West Coast mainly there's so many. You can get the 70, the 57 technically, the 60, the 56, the 88, 68. So there's a lot you can add in from there. But this route's really good. If they can get the London North Western license, that would be good because they could maybe then add like the 150-1 in for the Bletchley to Bedford line. That would be a cool addition in my opinion. But I quite like this route, and I'm going to put it in A tier. No, I'm going to put it behind the the East Coast Way. Next up is the East Coast Main Line, where you go from oh god, where is it? Grantham. I think you can go from Grantham, and then Peterborough and Doncaster. Those are the three main stations. With the LNER Azuma, one of the hated trains, but still good in the game, because then you can layer it onto the ScotRail Express route and the Fife Circle, I think, maybe. I really like the East Coast Main Line. It's like fun to just tootle along at 125 miles an hour. You can also get the 158 from the Midland Main Line on it. The Flying Scotsman came with it as well, and the HST, and then there's one route on the 47, the BR Green one. It isn't my favourite route, but I will rank it C tier above. I'll put Mild Main Line there and there, and switch that along as well, actually. Yeah, there, perfect. That's the order for the C tier in that. Next up is the London Commuter, which is one of the I think it is the busiest route in the game. So you go from London Victoria to Brighton. It's really long, and you get the 387 and the 377 with it, and then you can layer the 166 from GWR Express on it. and I really like this one. This, as I said, the highest level on the 377-4 at 21. And I've played it a lot. It is a really good route, like having so much frequent services. And now I think when you're on Train Sim 5, the 465-9 layers in off Southeastern Highspeed. It's one of my favourite routes. And I don't think I can fault it, to be honest. I mean, there's a few. One train I'd really like to see in the game, though, is the 455-8. That would be a really nice train to have. And the other thing I'd like is potentially if they made like some of the southwestern main line. I think like London, Waterloo to Portsmouth Harbour. I think that's the route. I know it's on Train Sim Classic, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. With the 444 or the 450, because then they could also maybe have like the 455 or the 458. Because that's the problem with this route, that in my opinion, is that the depot is literally empty from southwestern trains because there's none in the game. I don't know if when you buy the Mild Mail line, if the Capital Star 378 layers in at the other platforms, but they should definitely try and do that for the southwestern. But I'm gonna put the route in S tier because it's like, from what it is, it's perfect. Because obviously technically the Waterloo line would be a new route, but no, this route is perfect on its own. Next up is the Great Western Express with the GWR Class 43 and GWR Class 166, and then you also get a DB Cargo Class 66. I like this route too, so you go from London Paddington to Reading. You can do stopping services in the 166 or express services in the HST. This is the older route when the Azumas and the 387s weren't really around much. Well, the 387s probably were, but the Azumas certainly weren't. I remember playing this route on Train Sim 2020, and I quite enjoyed it. It's quite fun, and the HSTs, you get like a different variety of routes, like in terms of length, like how long they take. So I'm going to put this route in A tier actually, because it's quite good. It's one of my favourites, and I've played it quite a long time. Next up is another Scottish route, the 5 Circle. As you can see, the 170s pictured here with the Forth Bridge in it. Now they're also revamping the timetable to add the 158 in, which would have the Leaving Out Link livery, and they're also hopefully going to couple it to the 170 at some point. That it's taking quite a while, but I understand it's probably not their top priority because they've obviously, I don't know who's making it, but they've released quite a few routes. I really like this route. It's like hour-long runs to Markinch. The only complaint I have is the fact that they haven't extended the route to like Perth, because it's literally, they think it's 2 stations. Like obviously you can go fully up to Glenrothes with Thornton, but if you're going like and you can go to Leven as well. But if you're going to Perth, it would stop you at Markinch, even though there's only 2 stations between that and Perth, or 1 station between Markinch and Perth, which is Ladybank. So they should definitely consider extending it all the way up to Perth, because then Perth can go back to Edinburgh via the Fife line or the main line, which would be Stirling, Bridge of Allen, Dunblane, and then you'd have like Larbert, Camelon, and then you'd have like a really good circle route. But I like the Fife line, and it's going to go for B tier for me, ahead of the Suffragette line, but not the Midland main line. Next up is the last other Scottish route in the game, which is the first Scottish route, the Cathcart Circle, which comes with the 314, and now you can also get the 380, which from the 2024 timetable. I actually really like this route as well. This is one of my favourite routes. It's like a good route. So you go from Glasgow Central to Newton and Neilston, and it isn't great. And you get all these other different trains layered onto it. So you get I don't know why, but the 350s on it for some reason. That might be to represent Transpennine timetables or something. But you also get the 390, the 800 and 801, the 158, the 170, and then also, as I said, the 314 and 380 is controllable. And then they also have the option, if they ever consider it, to add in the 318 and 320, because those are 2 trains I'd like to see in the game. And I really, really like this game, this route, sorry. It's one of my favourites, and for that reason, it is going to go in S tier, actually. I really like this route. Next up is Southeastern Highspeed, and this route was one. I think it was the original. It was the added on route for the Train Sim 3, as you can see. It came with the 395 Javelin, the 375, and the 465-9. And then they added in a separate add-on the Class 700. This is a great route. It gives you a lot of variety. You get these express routes on the 395, which goes up to 148 miles an hour. I don't play them often. I literally played my first one a few days ago on the 395, but I quite enjoyed it. Um, you get like the big London St Pancras station in it, and then you can go to like Ashford, and then you also get like the runs from the 465-9 and the 377, and then the 700 you can go from I think Rainham to I can't Rochester. I can't remember. I don't remember where the 700 goes, but you get full runs in that. Um, and I like this route, and this route they could add a bit more in it, maybe even the Eurostar. So that's why I'm going to put it A tier because it's not perfect, but it is going to go a bit further up. Just no, actually, it's going to go there. Um, yeah, there's some more stuff they could add in, but it is quite a good route. Next up is the Glossop line, one of the cheaper routes, and I think it's only £20. Um, not, I'm not sure if I don't think I'm a huge fan of this route to be honest. Like you get the Northern 323, I think you get also you can see the East Midland Railway 158 layered in there. However, you don't get runs on the 158. You get one run, which is I think is an 8 car EMR one, and it's basically like 2 minutes, and then you get some 66 runs. I think ROG 37 runs, a rail tour I think in the 37, and that's it. And I know that like you go to Manchester Piccadilly, and I know that the Manchester Airport commuter route's coming out, but that again is a Northern 323, and I think if you look at the here like all the routes they've got in it, look at how many Northern trains they've got. You've got the where is it? I'm having a look. That's not Northern. I think myself look like an idiot. 170 is Northern. 142 you could do for Northern. 150 is Northern. 153 is Northern. And they have only got one in it. And then they could even like layer other trains into the routes that are Northern. Like for example, that could have the 769 in it. And it one Northern train. I mean, think about how many Northern trains there's. There's like 155, 153, 158, and they just haven't done much with this route. That's why I'm not a huge fan of it, even though it's modern. So it's going to go E tier for me because I've played it quite a few times, but it's still not my favorite route. Next up is the other 323 route, which is Birmingham Cross City, which has the West Midland Railway 323 in it. And I don't like this route much either. You go from Birmingham, I think you go Lichfield, Trent Valley to can't remember the stations. But it is just hour-long routes in the 323. So it's like I remember Richie Rail saying on a live stream about he was talking about Cardiff City Network, and I'd asked him about what do you prefer, like what's better to get the Birmingham Cross City on the discount because I bought it on the discount, or Cardiff City Network, and he said I bought it, but he said Cardiff City Network is probably better because you just get shorter runs and you can play it for ages and get loads of levels, whereas in the Birmingham Cross City you play it once and you literally don't want to play it again because it's like if you played 4 routes on Cardiff City Network, say it maybe take you an hour or something, or 2 hours depending on how long the routes you play are. If you played 4 routes on the Birmingham Cross City straight, it would take you 4 hours. So yeah, I'm going to put the Birmingham Cross City in F tier because it's not my favourite route and it's really boring because it's quite long. Which leads us on to the last route, Cardiff City Network. And I've been like waiting for this route for 2 weeks since it came out, and I've been waiting for it exactly since December basically when they announced it was coming out with the 153 and 150, and I've been so excited for this route. And I thought I bought it and I thought this is going to be amazing. I don't think I'm going to be able to fault this route. There's only I pretty much did, except there's one glitch that I found. I asked you guys if you've had the same problem, and a couple of you came back. There's some weird glitch on it where when you're driving the trains, these like weird arrows appear underneath, which almost look like direction arrows, like programming from the game, which are like don't go away until the train's stationary. But it's weird. I don't understand. But anyway, onto the route. You get the class, as you can see, you get the Transport for Wales class 153 and the Transport for Wales class 150-2, and you get 2 variants of the 153, which are the -3 and the -9. As well as that, layered onto it are the GWR HST in 166, and you get I think RHTT runs in the 66. And then you go from I think you got Corryton, Penarth. I shouldn't be pronouncing Welsh names. You get Cardiff Central and Cardiff Queen Street, and then other stations like Cathays. Radair, and then like Llandaff and all that. Um, I really like this route. The 153 and the 153 is one of my favourite trains to run, and it is really cool. And also nowadays now they could potentially layer it onto the ScotRail with the Highland Explorer. Um, I don't think I liked it as much as I thought I would. I think my expectations were quite high for it, but I don't hate it. It's like really still one of my favorite routes in the game. It's just if they fix this glitch, then they could make and like maybe add like they need to add extensions because there's like it's really short. I mean, I love short routes, but it does get quite repetitive. Um, but yeah, I'm going to put the 150, the Cardiff City network in A tier, just above ScotRail. I would put it S tier, but this glitch pulls it down. And there you go. There's my completed tier list for all routes in Train Sim 5, or British routes in Train Sim 5. So you've got at the bottom, going from bottom to top, you got West Somerset Railway, Birmingham Cross City, uh, Northern Transpennine, West Cornwall Local, Glossop Line. So that's F tier. Then for E tier, you've got Glossop Line and Spirit of Steam. For D tier, you've got Tees Valley. For C tier, you've got Blackpool branches. You've got East Coast Main Line North. Sorry, West Coast Main Line North. You've got East Coast Main Line. You've got Mildmay Line. And then for B tier, you've got Suffragette Line, Five Circle, and Midland Main Line. For A tier, which is the most populated tier, you've got Southeastern Highspeed, which I also think is the extended version, not the regular version. You've got Great Western Express, West Coast Main Line South, East Coast Way, ScotRail Express, and Cardiff City Network. And for S tier, you've got the Cathcart Circle, and you've got my favourite route in the game, pretty much, is London Commuter Rush Hour. So there you go. Well, let me know what you think of my tier list in the comments. I don't know if there's any controversial opinions in there, like having some of those routes so low. But yeah, I've enjoyed doing this video. I've been planning to do it for quite a while, and I had to get Cardiff City Network first so I could give you a proper test. As for future plans and what I think will come in Train Sim, I've got a video coming out soon, which I need to film, which is going to be like one train on every British route that I think could like in the game that could be added. Some of them are really stupid, I'll be honest, because I tried to research like the routes themselves when they were like around, like for example Cornwall Local in the 1980s, and I couldn't find great images, but I had to do my best. I just kind of basically picked a train that I saw in the isn't in the game. But on most of the modern routes, I have got good predictions, I think. And yeah, and then in terms of what I really want added in the game, I'd quite like more extensions on like the Cathcart Circle, for example. If you added like routes to like on the Ayrshire coast, or Kilmarnock line with the 156, and maybe for the Welsh route, next Welsh route, they could add in like the 143. I don't know where they'd take that though. Or they could add like routes I think people said about Swansea. And then in terms of English routes, I'd quite like the West Coast Main Line to be extended a bit more. Or maybe, as I said, the Bletchley, the Bedford line, that could be quite fun with the 150-1. Or they could add York in and do quite a few extensions on that. They could add some more northern trains in, such as the 155, 170, 158. And I think the one train that I'd quite like added in the game is a new freight loco on like West Coast Main Line South, which I think would my preference would be the Class 70, or maybe a 68 or something, because then they could do the 68 onto the 5 Circle line. But yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know what you think about my tier list in the comments, if I've completely offended the hell out of you, or if you agree with me. And thank you for watching. Cheers. See you later.